Who wants to be a millionaire? So, listen, guys, if you are living in America, if you're living in any way, state, shape, or form in a first world country, second world country, you know it's becoming expensive. It's becoming expensive just to be living and surviving out here. So, listen, the before the goal was to be 100,000 a year. You know what? Let's make six figures. Is that even enough? I don't even think it's enough anymore because the average cost of living has gone up. Now the goal might be. I think the new goal for 2023, 2024 is to be a millionaire because 44% of people say that that's the goal. It's not even the goal of like, I want a white picket fence anymore. You know, everyone's like, I want a family, a dog, a cat, a squirrel. No, everyone's like, no, I want to be a millionaire. Give me that money, that moolah. So in a way, it's kind of like it's like a greed index. It's like people are becoming even extra greedy. It's like so there's a greed index. I don't know if you guys have heard of the greed index. The greed index, basically the fear and greed index, is just basically showing how more, what is the word I'm looking for, how greedy people are becoming. Are people becoming more greedy? What's the stats at? People becoming neutral? What's that? So usually I'm going to show, if you guys want to check this out, you can, there's usually, you can find on CNN, you can find it on any of the money investments, usually the money investment website. But this is the fear and greed index. So the fear and greed index, basically it kind of varies. So it depends on, how the market's doing for the most part. If inflation is going up, some people, you might have it in a sense of to, extreme fear, where people are, if they're truly afraid, or if people are in the, in the point to which they need to hoard their money, which is where you kind of have that extreme greed index, right, coming in. But the study and the survey that I want to kind of go ahead and go into is this. This is this article I found on CNBC. So this is a CNBC article saying, who wants to be a billionaire? So 6 in 10 Americans strive to be mega wealthy. Okay, that's what people want now. Everybody wants to be mega wealthy. No one wants to be calm and comfortable anymore. Everybody wants to be rich, right? The goal is to be rich. You want to be rich. You want to make that moolah. That's the goal. Make it rain, right? So today's American dream may be more about being wealthy than having a white picket fence. 6 in 10 adults say they want to become a millionaire one day, according to a recent report. But as the wealthy gap widens, many also express resentment toward the mega rich and say billionaires should pay higher taxes. Okay, so it was interesting. Let's look at it. So what is the average tax rate? So let's say average tax percentage in the US, so which is also kind of varied based off income. So average tax rate based off income. What is the tax rate based off of income? So let's look at the calculator. So we're going to calculate this, right? And we're going to see. I want you guys to kind of take a look at this, because this is what's interesting. So I'm gonna pull up this calculator. So this is a federal income tax calculator, right? So we're gonna basically kind of calculate the taxes here. So, and that's not the one I was looking for. There's a tax calculator here, basically showing that the more money you make, the more you're actually paying taxes. So whenever people say, you know what, I think you should be paying more taxes, I think you should be doing this, you should be doing that, you should be doing this, let's go ahead and let's look at the data. Let's go ahead and look at the data. So there's a tax calculator. So if you're single and you make your gross income of 50,000, which is the average gross income here, we're not going to go into any advanced options. We calculate, the number comes up to be, okay, so 2022 tax bracket's 12%. Okay, so we're looking at 12%, right? So let me zoom in here, guys, so you can see 2020 12%. So the details, if you look at view details here, so this is what it looks like. So this is the percentage, basically the percentage. So if you make anything between, if you're single, between anything up to 10 to 76 41 71, you're looking at 12%, and then you have other percentages it goes, right? So let's continue with the calculator here. So let's say now you make 150,000. Right? We calculate that. Ooh, now we're at what? 24%, right? So you're taxing 26%. Okay. So everyone's like, oh, okay. So now let's say you make 1 million. Let's put that zeros right there. Your tax bracket is 37%, which means you're paying 328,164 dollars. So this is what your tax bracket is. So most people like, see, yeah, the rich people should be paying taxes. I mean, I do think rich people do pay taxes. Genuinely, I do think they do, that they are paying taxes. But the reality is this is, when you are a business, to operate your business, most business owners will say this, and they'll be the first to say this, is it's not cheap when you have to run your business. You have payroll, your payroll taxes, you have all this tax that goes in it. You have social unemployment taxes. You have all this taxes you have to pay as a business owner, and most of the time is to the government gives businesses tax incentives and tax breaks when they contribute, they create jobs, they contribute to those programs for the employees, they do certain things, right? So which means they actually are able to use their expenses to reduce their tax bill and give themselves a lower tax bracket. So whenever people say, because think about it, there's a W-2 and there's a 1099. I'm gonna go ahead and dive into the board here. I want to go ahead and dive into my fancy board, and we're gonna break into some math, and we're gonna look at the math, and we're gonna look at the numbers here. So W-2, what's the difference between a W-2 and a 1099? So I've been 1099, I'm still 1099, and you also been W-2. So the difference between a W-2, right? And there's also other few differences, but difference between a W-2 and a 1099. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. So the difference between if you're a W-2 and a 1099 is if you're W-2, a few things. The most important thing is you're taxed before you get your money. Okay? You're taxed before you get your money. I know I have a very, very phenomenal handwriting, so you're welcome. And if you're 1099, you are taxed after you get your money. So what that means is you choose where you want to fall on the income bracket based off of what your expenses has been in your income ratio. If you're W-2, you don't get to choose. It's a concept of like you don't get to choose. They basically take the taxes out before they give you your money, right? So when people say, "Oh, we need to raise the taxes. We need to tax the rich, we tax the rich," I think, you know what? Fair. I understand. I believe at the end of the day, it's God, for the most part, supposed to be used. The money's supposed to be used for the betterment of, our fellow, country folks. But let's look at it from a perspective of what happens is usually the people that end up paying a higher or fall into a higher percentage in which they're, I don't know how I went into taxes, but people that end up paying higher taxes are people usually in a W-2 state because you are taxed before you get your money. So let's say you started a job and you entry level, you're making 30 grand a year. You're making like your tax percent, you're like, 10, 12%, right? They get to a position in which you're in that job for 20, 15, 20 years. Now you're in a position where you're making 200, 250, 260, 270, 280 based on longevity. And now you're in a 30% tax, 27%, 30% tax bracket. So now you see how that number's changed now, where now you're getting taxed before you get the money. So now your paycheck's actually getting smaller. And then you actually factor in inflation, you're actually getting less money. Right, so it kind of I don't know if you're getting the point I'm trying to make here. So the point I'm trying to make here is when people say we need to tax everybody, raise the taxes, tax more. It's like you got to understand when you're raising it, eventually at some point it's going to come back and bite you. Right, it's going to come back and bite you because guess what? You may be saying you raise the taxes now based off of your current income and the fact that you're not being taxed that much, but then when you start to make more money, you start to like realize that wait, I actually am paying a lot of money in taxes, right? So you got to kind of those are kind of few things to keep in mind is to whenever they say raise the tax on the rich, you got to understand this too. They will just find a way. They have good tax accountants. They have good tax accountants. They have people that are there to help them limit their tax bill. You don't. Right. So it's when people are saying this stuff, they understand they're literally setting the system up against themselves. So yes, some 44% of US adults believe that they have the available tools to become billionaires. So back to the article, largely fueled by speculative investments such as cryptos. So people like I think you can make a lot of money in crypto, but you got to be very careful because you can make a lot of money in crypto, but you can also lose a lot of money in crypto. This is one thing to keep in mind. You can make more, but you can also lose more, right? So this is a little factor for you to keep in mind right there. So, investing in IRAs and 401ks and Roths and all that stuff, it's more or less in the concept of you got to think about it from perspective as to when you're doing 401ks, IRAs, that's not going to necessarily make you a billionaire. That's just going to help you for the most part have enough money provided the market doesn't tank to be good for retirement, right? So you don't have to depend on the entitlement programs, right? So if you think about it from the census to most people have mixed feelings about extreme wealth. They're like, they don't like rich people. They think rich people are bad. They think rich people are there to take their jobs away. They think rich people are like evil and all that stuff. And I'm like, it's not even about like, I don't even understand where the hate comes from. I don't even think it's hate, but there's just that concept. And it's like, it's a very weird thing because if we are more open as individuals to one another, you start to understand that, hey, you know what? We all pretty much, we're all human. We all pretty much breathe the same oxygen. We all pretty much live on the same planet. So there's no reason why there should be that animosity based off of just income, right? So There's a mounting disconnect. So the Harris report found 6 in 10 adults born to become a billionaire one day, meaning around 40% said they despise billionaires. So think about it. 60% want to be successful, and 40% hate successful people. And I actually think the roles are inverse. I actually would say 60% hate successful people, and maybe 30 to 40% actually want to get there, right? So many also said the billionaires have the responsibility to better society, but aren't doing enough, right? So there was the famous video of, let me see if I could pull this video. There's a famous video of, um, I think you guys remember what happened, the tragedy that happened in Hawaii, and we had Oprah and The Rock. So Oprah and The Rock basically were asking for, where was the word I'm looking for? So Oprah and The Rock were asking for donations, right? Let me see if I can find this. So Oprah and The Rock. Let me see. I think I could be able to find it. I can ask it for money, and the internet went crazy. People went crazy. Okay, so let me see if I can find this. Um, okay.
Begging for money for Hawaii is the greatest red pill moment in internet history. Check this out.
So if you send a donation, just click now.
Did I just witness what I think I witnessed? Please don't tell me I just saw a billionaire standing next to a multi-millionaire begging the average everyday citizen for donations that can barely get by.
So you can see as it kind of gets a little bit, it gets a little bit interesting there, from that concept and that perspective. It gets a little interesting in the census too. People are getting furious. People are getting, like, hey, you're a millionaire and billionaire. Why are you asking for money when you can pretty much, if we go back and let this young lady here finish what she was saying.
Due to a real life recession, living paycheck to paycheck, barely can pay rent, barely can put food on the table for our families, okay? Living in a real life recession in a country where our president is giving away all our sources, and resources to another country for money. If you two don't go take your Hollywood elite behinds to your other Hollywood elite friends and politician buddies that got millions like you do and billions and get all that money together and help out Maui, you are out your damn mind. Please don't insult our intelligence like that.
So you see the internet. So pretty much people are going crazy over the fact that they say you have a billionaires and millionaires, asking for asking for donations to help. I personally think, you know, even if they are millionaires and billionaires, by them speaking about it, they're raising attention. We don't know if they did donate. I don't know. I didn't ask them, right? I didn't communicate with them. I don't know. All I know is they decided to talk about it. They decided to use, because they live there, they decided to use the influence on it. Could it be this more sinister stuff? I don't know. I don't, for me, I try not to concern myself with that. I try to concern myself with the fact as to what am I doing in that perception, in that perspective, to be able to either provide value or be that perspective of in which am I helping or not helping. That's kind of the key concept that I want you guys to keep in mind there, right? But basically, there is many also said that, basically they want billionaires and millionaires to be the ones to make society better, right? And the reality, I don't believe in putting responsibility for the way the outcome of the future of my life, my kids' life are going to play. I believe in taking full responsibility for it. It's my responsibility how it should go. It's my responsibility how, for the most part, the factor as far as, you know if I want things to turn some way, shape, or form, I have to be the one to take personal responsibility for it. It should not be a position in which somebody else is pretty much having to, because they make a specific amount of money because somebody else is making, this much. They should be the one responsible for it. They should be the one doing this. They should be the one doing that. That's just not the way it works, right? So basically, if you look at it from a perspective here, okay, so as the rich gets richer, 66% of adults see wealth inequality as a serious national issue, and nearly half of Americans, or 47%, believe that there should be a limit to wealth accumulation, as report also found. So it's just kind of interesting to me when you kind of look at it from a perspective of I think capitalism, at the end of the day, anyone who understands capitalism, the way capitalism is pretty much formed, it's like I think I don't remember who it was, but somebody was promoting a 99% tax on multimillionaires. I think it was a 99% tax on multi. So basically, cap the millionaire rates, right? And I'm like thinking about it from a perspective as to not a lot of people understand the amount of work it takes, amount of work, blood, sweat, and tears it takes to pursue your vision, your goals. You gotta think about it. Amazon, everyone talks about how, oh my God, Bezos is this, but Bezos is a billionaire, he's other stuff. And you guys gotta think about it from perspective as to you and I don't know the amount of work that he put in to get to where he's at. I don't know. You don't know, right? We don't know the sleepless nights that he had. I don't know. You don't know, right? So for me to say this guy for some reason is some evil person, whatever it is, it's just to me, it's baffling to me, it's fascinating to me. And then there's also the to say that now this guy put in 25 years of hard work to go where he's at, and you're telling him that he should not be fairly compensated and rewarded for it. And the thing is, the reason why is this is most people have a I think most people have a discontent for people who are successful or rich in any way, shape, or form, just for the premise of one, it's like whenever you say you pull up in a gas station, you're in a gas station, you pull up in a Toyota Corolla, you pull up in a Hyundai Sonata, that's Sonata car, or Hyundai something, right? And then right next to you, a Lamborghini Huracan pulls up, right? What is the first thing that comes to your mind? It's either you say, he rented it, or two, he's doing something illegal to make that money. Okay. Why is that? Right? Or you're thinking that that person's a bad person or an evil person. Why is that? The concept is that because you believe that you followed the rules, you played by the rules and you played by the system, but you don't have that car. Because if the Lamborghini Huracan was the new Toyota Corolla and somebody pulled up in a Rolls Royce, all right. Well, I think depends. I think the Huracan's more expensive than the Royce, because I think the Royce. Let me see. I think the Rolls Royce goes for Rolls Royce. I think Ray price. I think the Huracan is more expensive actually than the Royce. So actually, so the Rolls Royce rate is actually pretty. It depends on the year you get. It's pretty really relatively cheap, going from like 90 grand to 200 some grand. But let's see here. How much is the Lamborghini? Oh, Lamborghini Huracan. All right. And the reason why I know about this is because an acquaintance, a friend of mine, is looking at it, and the Huracan is actually more expensive, going from 100 grand for a 2007 model to for a 2020 model, you're looking at 334,000 for a used one. Okay, so you can buy from either 100 grand to 330 grand for a used one that's 3 years old. Okay, so I think a new one might be going for maybe 2023's. Yeah, it's going for about 350, 400 grand. So let's say the Rolls Royce, the Wraith, an older model was the standard. Then if someone pull up in a Huracan, you'll be like, oh, they did something to get to where they're at. Why am I not the person that's there? And that's just based on the concept of you kind of look at it from perspective of I follow the rules. I did what society told me. I went to school. I got a 4-year degree. I got a 2-year degree. I went and did my PhD. I'm called Dr. ABC, but I'm not driving that. And it kind of feels a little bit unfair. I think that's the thing is most people say it feels unfair that somebody else has something that you would like and you did everything the right way, but you don't have it. So which means that person is generally, you see them as a bad person. But the concept is not that that person is a bad person. The concept of it is they're not bad. It's just the concept of it is they've played by a different set of rules that you didn't play by. You see, there's rules that were designed by the systematic rules, and then there's rules that you have to kind of go outside of the system and outside of the box, right? If you work a regular 9 to 5, it doesn't matter how many degrees you get. Unless you become the CEO, no one is going to pay you 300-400 grand a year. Unless you become the CEO of the company, even if you become the CEO of the company, the most you probably make is maybe 25. Like the CEO of Coca-Cola, which is a multi-billion-dollar company, the CEO makes $20 million a year, right? The CEO makes $20 million a year. And then you're like, well, but you got to look at it. The employees, they have people making 20, 12, 13, 14, $50 an hour. That's the same thing. Is the position that you're in and the difficulty in replacing you is the right proportion to what your income is going to be. I want you to think about it. The position you're in and the difficulty that there is in replacing you will determine, I'm going to say it again, it will determine what your income is. Okay. So that's another thing that I want you to actually pretty much kind of take into account there as you go about your day-to-day activities, as you go about do things as to, you got to understand this too. If somebody has is making more money than you, it's not necessarily that that person's a bad person. It's you got to ask them and say, what game are you playing? And it sounds a little interesting because we're all life is a giant game, right? We're all spawned as little babies. You're born in as a little baby. You get into the game. You choose your character. By choosing your character, you adopt the mindset that you basically want, right? Now you can follow the traditional system, which is a not there's a people talk trash about the 9 to 5, but I think some people do generally need the 9 to 5. It's comfortable, it's relaxing. If you want to be have a comfortable life, then yes. But if in a position you want to be in a position in which you're actually a mover and a shaker, then you're gonna have to pretty much think outside the box, right? So if you look at it from that perspective, right? If you look at it from that perspective, then you got to look at it from a perspective of you can follow the route that the system laid, or you can go outside of the box and be a risk taker, which means you actually go invent your own new system, and which means there's a 90% chance you're going to fail 20, 30, 40 times, but you have to be willing to fail and keep getting up, right? Because the thing is, this is to build something worthwhile takes time, but once you build it, you get rewarded for all the time that you did in the past. You see, the average, if you look at it if we go back to that article here, and if we go back to that article, that CNBC article here, because that's basically what we're talking, we're just basically using this article as a case study here. Of those polled, 24% said personal wealth should be capped less than 1 billion, which I don't know why. While 20% said it should be capped between 1 billion and 20 billion. So there are roughly 200 people in the US um, who are currently worth more than 10 billion, according to Forbes and a ranking of the richest people. Among the top 5, Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, and Elon Musk are worth more than 100 billion, right? So which means if you look at it, if you go 20 years and you're only making 10,000 a year, but then whatever it is that you start, whatever project you start starts paying you dividends, starts paying you good money, and now you're worth 100 billion. It's almost like all the time that you worked, you've been compensated for it, right? So the richest Americans have continued to benefit from owning equities and real, there's a few things in there, but you got to think about it. When people say you talk trash about, everyone talks trash about like all the rich people, you're like, oh my God, rich people are this. But then again, you're the ones giving them the money, right? Because the thing is, this is one, I'm going to say this, it is illegal to make money. You cannot make, it's illegal. You can't print it. I don't know where you can go print money. I don't know where you can say, you can't make money. Okay. You can only transfer money from a person to another person, right? You cannot make it. And the only way because money is transferred via an exchange, right? So when you go to shop on Amazon because they have a product that you need, you're feeding into the billionaires. When you go and you buy a Tesla and you say, hey, you don't want it, you're feeding into the billionaires. When you go and use a Microsoft product, you're feeding into the billionaires. That's the same concept you have to keep into take. So it's not their fault you're rich. You gave them the money. So you can't say you want to cap on people's incomes when, they basically, they're where they are, they're rich. You can't cap their income. You can't just say, oh, you're a rich person, so I'm going to go ahead and cap your income because you're rich. It just doesn't make any sense to me, right? So if it's something in the sense to you want to be rich, you have to study what industries have made the most successful people. Okay, what industries have made the most successful people? So we're going to be covering a few things here. We're going to be covering those industries that have made the most successful people, right? And we're going to be starting with the first industry. So the first industry that's made the most successful people is finance in investment. Okay, so there's 372 billionaires, 372 billionaires with a B, okay? And Warren Buffett is the richest of them with 106 billion, okay? 106 billion. That's the finance and investment industry. So finance is a broad term. Now, most people, there's different ways you can get to finance. You can get into finance, you can become a money manager, you can go get your Series 6 licenses, you can do all those things, but actually that would take a lot of work. Go work, you can do that. Go work for Goldman Sachs. You can go work for the big banks. You can do that. A simple way most people get into the financial industry is they get into it via insurance. So you got to think about it. Is how many? I'm very curious. How many insurance millionaires are there? Okay, how many insurance millionaires are there? So in the insurance industry, which is interesting. So it says insurance has made the most millionaires, which is a high percentage of the world's wealthiest people have invested in the insurance industry. Who is the richest insurance agent in the world? So that's a very interesting. You can kind of look into it for the most part, but insurance is kind of one of the fastest industries that has made the most money. Now, I'm not going to be here and preach and say, oh, this is, I think you should go into this. Because honestly, guys, I personally have not been in a position where I haven't reached a million in insurance. So, that's the goal. But I know it takes work. I know it takes time. And I know it takes patience, right? That's the most important thing there. But if we look at it from a perspective of millionaires, right? The reason why insurance has made the most millions is because the amount of money it's paid is insane, and also the way the commission structures work, right? I'm actually going to give you guys a little breakdown here. So let's do the math. So the way the insurance premiums and commissions work, and you guys are watching this, and most people who actually watch this channel have actually done business with me in the insurance side, which is fine. It's just this is just payout works, and I'm very, very transparent about it, because at the end of the day, everyone pretty much works, and when you work, you want to get paid money for your job. So I want to explain to you guys how the insurance commissions work. So insurance basically pays you what's called unearned commissions. Okay, so unearned commissions. So the unearned commissions. Okay, so what is unearned commissions? It means that you earn the commissions on a monthly basis. So think about it in a sense as to a loan, right? So the way it works is this: let's say you sign somebody up for $100 per month. Okay. I'm not going to dive into commission percentages and whatever it is. I'm just going to tell you straight up as it is. There's a few disclaimers to basically cover there, but we'll cover that this is someone for 100% commission and stuff, right? So let's say someone pays $100 a month, right? The insurance company now pays you the 9-month premiums, which means they pay you that within 48 hours or whenever you want to be paid. They pay you $900 up front. Now, you're like, what? They paid $900? That's a lot of money. Actually, no, it's not. Okay, here's the caveat. So it's called unearned. I want you to keep in mind the word unearned. So what that means is for every month that the client makes their premium payment, you earn the commissions. So what does that mean is, say the client makes the first month payment, you earn $100. They make the second month payment, now you've earned $200. They make the third month payment, you've earned $300. They've made that, you've earned 400 of the 900. Now here's what happens. If month 5 they decide to cancel their policy, they're like, hey, I don't want to keep this anymore. I don't think it's something happens. Now you've earned 500 out of the 900, right? The insurance company is going to be like, well, my friend, we paid you you have 4 months of unearned commissions. What that means is the client hasn't paid, so you haven't earned it. So you owe us $400. So then they hit you with what's called a chargeback, right? Chargebacks are basically, think about it from the perspective of, hey, next time you write a policy, we'll just deduct the 400 from that and pay you the rest. That's the way it works, right? So when we keep kind of diving into the catch-22, now if you actually, this is interesting. This is my chargeback percentage. I had less than 3% of a chargeback, right? Less than 3%. So which means over the thousands, $100,000 that I wrote, less than 3% chargeback, right? And the reason why is because the way I sold was which you guys know, I'm in sales, right? The way I sold, I honestly just kind of just the same way I tell people the truth. I'm like, this honestly might not even be for you, right? And after we they choose what they make a decision, because my goal is not to sell you. My goal is to get you to decide. My goal is to present you with all the information. And when I present you with all the information, you make a decision. And that's the whole concept, because it's like, because I'm a big believer that a man forced against his will is of the same opinion still. When you force people to do something that they don't want to do, that's out of their own volition, they end up resenting you, right? You can tell them, force them, do use high pressure sales tactics. They buy, but they will never come and do business with you again. The key thing for me is retention. I need to be able to retain you. Will you retain, come back again, and will you refer? That's my motto in business, is retain and refer. Okay. Can I retain you as a customer, which means will you do business with me again? And will you refer me to your friends and family? Do you trust me well enough to refer me to your friends and family? If I cannot retain, I cannot refer. Now, I know we're kind of going a little bit off topic here, because the main topic we're talking about is to the insurance industry. So we're still going back into the commissions, right? So let's say you earned a few commissions and no one ever charged back, right? And let's say you get 10 people to sign up a week. That's what? Now you're doing the 900 paid every 48 hours times 10. Now you're making roughly about $9,000 a week. Now, this does not come easy. First disclaimer: most people who get in the industry usually don't hit this numbers to about maybe a year to 2 years in the industry. But there's people that hit the numbers way sooner. I know a guy who hit the numbers pretty much his first month, right? 9,000 a week. You multiply that on a four month period. You're looking at what is that number? I think it's 9 times 3 is 27. 27 times 4 is 37, 38, 3, 36. Jeez. Golly. So it's roughly about 36 grand, right? You're like, whoa, 36,000. It's pretty easy because you can make the same amount of money that CEOs make. And it takes 20, 25 people 20, 25 years to make in a span of 2 to 3 years, because all you're doing is you're learning and you get into an industry that does not have a capped income. And that's where sales comes in, guys. That's where sales comes in, right? Sales, right? That's where sales come, because when you get into sales and when you sell high ticket items, okay, HTI, high ticket items such as insurance, software, enterprise software, enterprise products, you make a better commission of anything of about $500 per sale to $1,500 per sale, which means you don't end up. Some people will make $50,000 commission. There's certain insurance products that will pay you 50 to 100 grand. These are kind of a little bit high end. You know, if you're looking more into business loans, premium financing, and all that good stuff, right? So that's kind of like if you're looking into that caveat per se, right? But the insurance industry has been one of the industries that has made the most millionaires. If you guys look at the article here, it's because it pays you so much money up front, and there's limited. You don't need to go get a 4-year degree, 4-year degree, PhD, all that stuff. You literally just need to spend your time and then keep learning and improving. But spend your time to get licensed, and then spend your time keep learning and keep improving, right? So that's something that's in there now, which is also something I've never done before. I'm going to do it now. If you guys want to, pretty much you can, get into the insurance industry and you're like, hey, you know what, I want to get started. I do not promise you that you'll become a millionaire. I do not promise you any income whatsoever. Zero. Listen, zero. I'm not promising you anything. But if you want to get things done right and you want to be in a position which you can make more money than you're currently making, then I want you to go ahead and I'm going to leave. This is my personal phone number that's shown on the screen, 754-262-4523. Shoot me a text or give me a call and say, hey, Emmanuel, I watched your video. Please reference this video. If you do not reference this video and you just call me out the blue, because I get this number. This is the phone right here. I get a lot of calls. I've gotten calls from AI products. I've gotten calls from other videos. I've gotten calls from partnerships. I've gotten calls from people wanting to be sponsored. This is the number that everything pretty much comes. So if you call me for any reason or anything, please reference the video that you watch. I'm just being very transparent with you guys, right? My phone, I get on average of 4 to 6 phone calls on average per day. Some days I don't get any phone calls, which is kind of awesome because no one's ringing my phone. But most on average, if this phone is ringing, it's ringing, right? So all I'm asking is, if you do watch this video, and if you want to, if you think the insurance industry, you've heard about it, you're like, hey, I want to make money. I don't, like I said, I have zero guarantees. I'm not guaranteeing you anything because you and I are different. The amount of money I can make and you can make completely different. Environment's different. So I'm not no, absolutely not. And I'm going to tell you, you can make a lot of money in the insurance industry, but it's not for everybody. If you think you have what it takes, this is my phone. Make this phone ring, right? So now, that's pretty much, if we're looking at it from the financial industries, because there was an uncapped income, you have a lot of money that you can make just by being in the industry. So if we dive back into the industry, the second industry that's made the most millionaires as well, this number 2, which is basically, this is according to Forbes, is you have manufacturing, right? So I'm not into manufacturing. I don't know much about manufacturing. So I just know that if you're in construction, you do make a lot of money, but the overhead to get in is kind of high. And you're also looking at very thin margins, right? So that's why you see that, the richest guy is worth 29.7 billion. And another thing about insurance industry is you have pretty much zero overhead, right? So for instance, you have everything is paid for, right? Literally, you just come in and you're making money paid for. So that to me is kind of what's interesting there. So you have technology. So if you're in software, you have Bezos right there. So he's the richest guy in technology, fashion and retail. And then you also have food and beverage, healthcare, and real estate. I also say, and then you have energy and all that good stuff. But I also say one more thing is cosmetics. I would say cosmetics is the makeup and beauty industry. I think the makeup and beauty industry, the who is the richest? I'm curious. In the makeup and beauty industry, this is something that I'm going to be actually very fascinated. So, So superstar Rihanna became a millionaire in thanks to her Fenty Betty. What is the richest beauty brand owner? So apparently in the beauty industry, which is very interesting because you even sell because the beauty industry you selling low ticket items, but if you start selling like really like high end, I think Rihanna became a Rihanna. I'm saying Rihanna. The fact I'm saying this wrong just makes me say it makes me sound so whatever Rihanna. There you go. I was like, jeez, I was like Rihanna. I know I'm gonna get butchered in the comments by everyone. It's like, did you just say that? I was like, listen, don't come for me, guys. Don't come for me. Okay. Listen. But Re you guys know Riri, whatever whatever you want to call it, is basically she became a billionaire at age 35 in 2021 by via her beauty product Fenty Beauty. So she became that put her in the 10 richest beauty billionaires. So she's worth 1.7 billion. Okay, so she's number 8. Number 7 is Kim. I'm not even Kim K, but you have number 10 is Su Kyung. Probably that's not the name. It's Sung Kyung Bae, 1.6 billion, and then Kim Kardashian, you know, you guys know the name, and then Hu Shung Cho, 2.2 billion. I'm so butchering these names, and then you got Antonio Luis Sibra. Okay, that's 3 billion, and then you have Michael and Wolfgang Hers. 13 billion. Okay. And then we have the Lander family, Estee Lauder, with 40 billion. I know I said that right. Phenomenal. And then Alan Giddard, what? Alan and Giddard. I'm not even going to say the name. Chanel. Okay. They started to shoot Blue Russia. I am not even going to say the name. I don't want anyone to. 90 billion. And you've got the Le Fesseur Piticou Mears. That's L'Oreal. L'Oreal. Okay, perfect. I have my sidekick here. L'Oreal. So it's Francois Piticou Mears. I think so. And then you have Bernard Arnault, 219 billion. So think about it. The beauty industry, he made 219 billion, guys. LVMH. I don't even know what LVMH is, but LVMH. What is LVMH? It's a I don't know. Oh, Louis Vuitton. Oh, yeah. Oh my god. Okay, you could tell how much my that's literally Louis Vuitton, Vuitton, Louis Vuitton, Louis Vuitton, Vuitton, Vuitton. I should get like multiple cameras so I just play Louis Vuitton, Louis Vuitton, Vuitton. But 219 billion. So, like I said, not all of us can make up a beauty brand. I don't know anything about makeup, guys. As you can see, I'm gorgeous and handsome, and I don't even have any makeup on. So, just tells you I don't know anything about makeup. I'm just playing. But I would say personally, one thing I would say is this: is the industry that I know and I can tell you for sure makes a lot of money is insurance. You can also lose money in it, but there's ways in which to structure it can actually make money. So, like I said, I'm gonna leave my number again: 754-262-4522. 754-262-4523. If this is an industry that you believe it's you might actually want to, definitely give me a call, shoot me a text, and there's gonna be a link in the description at some point. We're working on it, but that's pretty much all I have for you guys for now. Go ahead and share this video with your friend if you believe it, and if you're on Spotify, hit the follow button, guys. We have we're getting thousands of plays a month. We're not getting that many people that are actually doing up in the most people aren't really hitting the follow because most people don't know what the follow button is. Please do me a favor and hit the follow button. There's no reason why we're getting 70,000 plays a month and we're not getting. We need more people to basically hit the follow button and share this video with your friend if you believe that you like them. And if you don't want them to even learn it, you can ignore the thing about insurance. Just tell them, hey, listen, the financial industry makes the most money. Okay, you may have done insurance before and you don't like it. That's fine. You tell them, ignore everything about insurance. But if you think there's something that's going to be beneficial to you, to your friends, definitely go and share the video, guys. It's an awesome pleasure. Thanks again for everyone here joining me on today's what day is today? On a Thursday. Thank you everybody for joining me on Thursday. Everybody,